Azizi with metric number A203929. Whistleblowing plays an important role in promoting transparency, accountability, and ethical conduct within both public and private organizations by exposing illegal or unethical practices that harm the public interest. In Malaysia, the Whistleblower Protection Act 2010 was enacted to encourage such disclosures by providing protections including confidentiality of identity, immunity from legal action, and protection against retaliation. However, recent whistleblower cases have raised concern over whether these protections are effectively implemented in practice, as some whistleblowers have faced dismissal, legal consequences, or exposure of identity. This report examines whether whistleblowers in recent cases have been provided the protection accorded under the WPA 2010 by analysing selected cases and related ethical issues, with the aim of assessing the effectiveness of the Act, identifying conflict arising from whistleblowing, and evaluating its implication for ethics, public trust, and good governance. Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Afiq bin Azizi with metric number A203929. Today, I am going to explain about conflict that arises in Whistleblower Protection Act 2010. Whistleblowing inherently creates serious conflicts because it involves exposing sensitive information that may reveal corruption or unethical practices within organizations or government institutions. Although the Whistleblower Protection Act 2010 was enacted to protect individuals who report such misconduct, recent cases in Malaysia show that these protections are often ineffective in practice. One key conflict arises between legal protection and organizational power. In the Education Malaysia Global Services or EMGS case, a whistleblower who reported alleged misconduct was dismissed, despite the Act clearly prohibiting detrimental action. This shows a gap between the law and its enforcement. Another conflict involved whistleblower safety versus legal procedures. In corruption cases involving video disclosures, whistleblowers reportedly face threats and intimidation while waiting for formal protection to be granted. There is also a moral conflict when whistleblowers are denied protection due to their involvement in the offence, such as in the Sabah corruption case, where accountability clashes with the public interest in disclosure. Additionally, breaches of confidentiality and workplace intimidation, including cases involving teachers, highlight the conflict between ethical duty and personal or career risk. Overall, these conflicts show that while the Whistleblower Protection Act 2010 provides a legal framework, whistleblowing in practice remains a complex ethical dilemma involving legal, institutional, and personal challenges.
For this part, I will explain the factors that cause conflict in whistleblowing cases. First, protection under the Whistleblower Protection Act 2010 is not automatic. This makes whistleblowers feel unsure and scared, even when they are reporting in a good way. Second, the law enforcement is weak. Even though the Act says whistleblowers should not be punished, but the organization still can take action against them. Next, there is a power imbalance. Whistleblowers usually are individuals, whilst organizations have more power and resource. Because of this, people are afraid to report the wrongdoing in that company. The other factor is that organizational culture itself. In some workplaces, whistleblowing is seen as a bad thing, so employees choose to stay silent. Lastly, confidentiality is not fully trusted. When whistleblowers fear their identity might be exposed, they avoid reporting to misconduct. In short, these factors make whistleblowing risky and create conflict even with the existing legal protection or laws.
Hello, my name is Muhammad Arfan Daniel. My number matrix A202344. So I will continue from my part, which is I will discussing the related issue arising from the whistleblower case examined in this report. Firstly, from an ethical perspective, whistleblowers often face a moral dilemma. They report wrongdoing because they believe it is the right thing to do, yet in many cases, ethical actions are punished instead of protected. This creates fear and discourages ethical behavior within our organization. Second, safety and personal well-being are a major concern. Whistleblowers may face job loss, harassment, or intimidation, and in some cases, their identity may be exposed. They risk cause mental stress and emotional pressure. making individuals reluctant to report misconduct. This issue also affects society and wide community. When whistleblowers are not protected, public trust in institutions decline. This encourages a culture of silence, allowing corruption and unethical practice to continue without accountability. Lastly, legal and institutional weakness further contribute to the problem. Protection under the Whistleblower Protection Act 2010 in conditional and consistently enforced. As a result, whistleblowers may still suffer relations despite acting in the public interest. Overall, this related issue show the effective whistleblower protection has serious ethical, safety, and society consequences.
Here is proposed solution to improve Whistleblower Protection Act 2010. First, shifting burden of proof. Currently, whistleblowers must prove that negative actions like termination or intimidation are linked to their disclosures. This is highly impractical because they often lack access to internet information. By shifting the burden of proof to the employer, we make protection enforceable and realistic. Number 2, broadening disclosure channels. The Act currently protects whistleblowers only if they report to designated agencies. Expanding disclosure channels ensures that whistleblowers can act when internal or regulatory mechanisms fail. Number 3, enforceable anonymity. The fear of being identified is a major deterrent. The Act mentions confidentiality, but it lacks enforcement mechanisms. Establishing secure, independent reporting channels will encourage whistleblowers to come forward without fear. Number 4, autonomous protection agency. Whistleblower cases are often handled by authorities that can be influenced by political or corporate pressures. An autonomous agency can actively investigate claims, provide protections, impose penalties, and report directly to Parliament, ensuring impartiality and accountability. Here is lesson learned from case studies. First, improving legal and institutional frameworks. The Whistleblower Protection Act 2010 must be enforceable in practice and supported by strong institutional frameworks. Without proper supporting mechanisms, whistleblower protection remains theoretical. The second lesson is the need to balance protection with accountability. Whistleblowers may have participated in wrongdoing due to pressure within the organization. A rigid approach that automatically revokes protection discourages reporting. Discretionary immunity allows insiders to come forward without fear. Number 3, culture and organizational change. Whistleblowers are often perceived as disloyal employees. This case shows the importance of cultivating an ethical culture where whistleblowers are seen as responsible. Number 4, proactive enforcement and deterrence. Effective whistleblower protection requires proactive enforcement and strong deterrence. Without meaningful penalties, organizations may ignore whistleblower protections. Deterrence ensure that violations carry real consequences and that companies are held accountable.
So for the conclusion, the Whistleblower Protection Act 2010 was introduced with the aim of protecting whistleblowers in Malaysia. However, based on the recent case, its effectiveness in practice remains limited. Legal protection alone is not sufficient, especially when enforcement is weak and protection is subject to strict conditions. As seen in several cases, many whistleblowers still face demotion, intimidation, and exposure of their identity despite acting in the public interest. This situation shows the gap between the law and its implementation continues to exist. Without strong enforcement and consistent application, whistleblowers remain vulnerable. Overall, to strengthen whistleblower protection in Malaysia, improvements are needed in enforcement, protection mechanism, and organization support. Only then can whistleblowers feel safe to speak out and contribute to transparency, accountability, and ethical governance. That's all from our group. Thank you for watching.